case, welcome everyone to this joyous occasion that is the Teach Me series. I think we're now up to episode 6. I've just had to reconfigure all my settings, so if there's any issues with the audio or video, please do let me know. Otherwise, we are joined today live in this occasion with Luis, and we'll be talking about a topic that is like has been on my to-do list for forever, of things I really need to learn, but I've never really put a lot of time into it because I feel I'm not a design animations type of person, but hopefully this will be an illuminating session. But yeah, so Luis, before we start, do you want to just introduce yourself, maybe tell us what you do, and yeah, let's start with that.
Okay, so I'm a front-end developer. I'm not a designer, so I should warn people about that. Whenever I need icons or design illustration, I always go on freepik.com and pick the best illustration I can find.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm a front-end developer in Brussels. It's an agency called Base Design, and also I teach in high schools. I mean, university level in Belgium. And nope, I'm not Portuguese. I'm from Belgium. So I teach generative design and also web in general, web optimization, web compression, videos, images, SVG, everything related to optimization on the web.
Awesome. Yeah, and so we're both based in Brussels, but we've never met because I've moved here, and then a couple of months later, COVID happened, so this is the best we could do. But yeah, look,
yeah. I also organize meetups in Belgium. It's the Creative Frontend meetups, and we were supposed to do a meetup the week where the lockdown started in Belgium. So we decided, of course, to cancel the meetup.
So you Creative Frontend, that's with Maël, yeah?
Yeah.
Awesome,
yes. That's how I know you. It's because Maël told me about you.
Oh, nice. Yeah, no, Maël is awesome. He's been helping at my meetups and teaching and coaching, and the last time we did a 11T session. But yeah, he's been super, super, super cool.
Yeah, he's super nice. He also he started teaching in Hack Your Future.
Yes.
Hack Your Future.
Yes. No, that is super cool because I know people from Hack Your Future as well. So Manon and we did a crypto party a couple of months back. Because they do really, really cool stuff with the refugees, and yeah, I'm also trying to kind of mentor a couple of people from there to get them from, because once they graduate the boot camps, they're kind of like, it's very tricky to get. It's very tricky to get from a boot camp.
Find a job.
Yeah, to get to a job. Cool. Yeah, Maël is so cool. Awesome. So, Luis, so what are you gonna teach us today?
Well, I wanted to introduce you to GreenSock, the animation library, probably one of the best, if not the best. At least for me, because it's probably the only one I know. I know there are a few others, and I'm not saying the others are worse. Probably just, if you don't know GreenSock, you should give it a try, and if you like it, just stick with it. And if it doesn't fit your needs, maybe check others. But for me, it always met all my needs.
So when would because so far my experience with animations is through CSS animations and just transitions, keyframes, stuff like that. So when would you go, and that's for like fading stuff in, or moving, or transforming, or rotating, or clipping, or whatever. But when would you go and use GreenSock? As a front-end developer, when is that just a fun thing to do, or is it something that you get to use?
No. I use GreenSock, probably not on all projects, because I still try to use CSS as much as I can. But before, the main reason not to use GreenSock on all projects was the file size, because it's still a library, and I try to avoid all libraries at first. But the latest version of GreenSock is like super light. I think it's 20 or 25 kilobytes gzipped. So this is, I mean, the file size is less of an argument now.
Yeah.
So I say you could do all your animation with GreenSock if you like, but don't do your hover effects in JavaScript. You know, when you hover a button, you can do that in CSS, so it's fine,
Yeah.
unless you have a crazy hover effect with particles and more. But you could use GreenSock for everything. And I think when you're reaching a point of when you have to deal with delays and you know, you have more than one keyframe in your keyframe animation, probably GreenSock is a good idea, especially when you need staggered animation, like something to happen and then something else to happen after.
Right.
CSS can be very messy because you need to add the delays, but then if you change the first animation duration, then the delays need to be updated and all that. You can have some of a structure with Sass, like you would set all the variables with the delays and the duration,
Yeah.
but at some point it's just getting too messy. So with GreenSock, you can create timelines, and that's super cool.
Yeah, because like one problem that I find is that, let's say I want to maybe try and introduce an animation, but like I feel maybe they also have animations have a bad reputation of like they're messy and heavy and power hungry, and like you should be really really careful. So for me, because like it's very difficult to go from not using animations to getting very good at it and being experienced and knowing what to do. And obviously because you're a front-end developer, it's like everything you do is out there. So what would you say are, let's say for someone that is just starting with animations, what would be your like a couple of tips of what to avoid and what to do? Like you mentioned, like don't introduce a library if you don't have to. Cool. Don't use JavaScript for hover effects. Anything else like that?
Well, I mean, what you just said about animation to like avoid making them, I don't know, too useless, because some people don't really like animations because they're useless, and that's, for me, it's wrong, because good animation is actually meaningful, and there are a lot of articles online who can teach you that. And one of the main example, at least back then, you know, on macOS, when you close a window, it's kind of fades into this position, like at the bottom of your computer.
Yeah.
You get this, I think it's a genuine animation something. I mean, you visually see that the window that you're closing is going somewhere.
Yeah.
And for user, it's super useful to know that what you just closed is there. And it's the same, for example, with a big menu. When you have a burger button, when you click, it will slide down, and when you close, it slide up. So you know mentally that it's not there because it's on a screen, but you know that it's coming from somewhere, and the animation has a meaning, because during the transition you're actually thinking that the big menu is coming from there and it's hiding, and if you need it back, you know you have to look up. And if you do the animation wrong, for example, you the panel would come from the top and then close to the bottom, it wouldn't make sense. Like, why would it slide down if it came from the top? So doing good animation is not just doing animation, and not everybody is good. No, it's not that not everybody could do good animation, but not everybody could make it meaningful. And sometimes animation, the meaning of your animation can just be to be pretty.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you just like when it's nice, but it should never interfere with the user experience.
Yeah.
Like, don't make an animation that is 2 seconds long if it's just to send a button. Like, if I click on a menu, I want the menu to appear. I don't want to wait for 2 seconds for the menu to appear. So sometimes you can make your animation slow if it's a big animation, if it's a big page transition and there are a lot of happening.
Yeah.
But if it's just a menu appearing, don't make it too slow. And, you know, think about the users. If the first time it's nice, okay, but what about the 10 times? You know, sometimes you hate animations after a while because it was nice the first time, but after a while it's just too much, and you're tired of seeing the same animation over and over. So you have to be very careful with the meaning of your animation and to make it nice, even the 10 or the 100 times you're using your website.
No, yeah, Totally. Yeah, so some people from the chat. Today is actually our first stream after a long break, so people are wondering how come we're here. But yes, I've decided to cancel the streams for a while. It just didn't like there's just too much happening in the world right now. But then I thought it's also good that we continue these conversations because a lot of people are still. So like in Belgium, I don't know. So we resumed live, but I still feel quite odd about going out and people saying COVID is over. Like no, no. Restrictions are over. That doesn't mean that the virus magically disappeared. So yeah, that's why we're back here. But yeah, so I totally agree with the animation. So like I try to think about animations as adding content. So for example, like one of my favorites is when, for example, in a form inputs, when there's some issue or like there's that you do like the shaky thing, like an additional visual information that something is wrong. So that's kind of like my favorite. But what do you think about, I feel like there's a fad now of when you have single page applications and you scroll down and you have this, as you scroll like
everything starts to move and
yeah.
Well, I think it really depends on the website, because if it's really a website about content, let's say a newspaper website or even Facebook, if you would be on Facebook or Twitter and every time you would scroll, you get all these animations, all the tweets coming with a fade in and all that, it would be a lot for a user.
Yeah.
But when you have to introduce the product, for example, I think some websites are doing that very well. Like you have a smooth transition when you scroll, you see a 3D version of the product, and that's okay because I'm not looking for a specific information there. I'm just looking for your product, and you're trying to introduce me to the product. It's basically watching a video, but you have control on the video.
Yeah.
And that kind of animation is less about the meaning, more about the nice, the pretty aspects of it, and again, the way you will handle your animation will really give not a life, but a spirit to your websites. And if you do a very fadey and like slow transition and the thing appearing with translation, it's like a very zen website. But if you do like elastic and the product is like bouncing around and you have particles and all that, it can be very gimmicky. But if you're targeting young people or based on your audience, it depends what you will do, and not all animations are good for everybody. So it's fine to sometimes just go crazy and have like a WebGL animation and crazy backgrounds, and when you scroll it all moves around, as long as the content is there and people are not lost. Animation is not a thing you can add at the end of a product, and that's something a lot of time it's doing wrong. And I can say that even for myself, sometimes I just push the animation at the end of the product and it's bad, because after 2 or 3 weeks working on a product, I'm like, maybe it's time to add some animation, and it's maybe too late, because you really have to think your animation when you're doing the design at first and how all the elements will interact with each other. And it's really important to discuss the animations, to create prototypes, to have discussion with the designers. It's not just, you don't receive a sketch file and just think about, okay, let's make it this way. The sketch file should be created with the animations in mind. And sometimes it's fine if the website doesn't have any animation, or if it's just transition, hover effects. It's not always about making it smooth, and sometimes you don't even need a transition when you hover a button. Like if you want to change the background, it's fine. You can just switch the background. You don't need a 200 milliseconds delay. It can just happen there. Again, how you want your website to look like, and how people should feel about it.
But then how do you learn it? Because let's say, so I work in a company, we have one product, so most of the time we're introducing new features, but the design is already there, right? So I don't have, except for like side projects, I don't have the opportunities to flex my animation muscles. So, and also I don't know what makes it good. Like maybe as a user, if I put on my user hat and okay, this is nice and smooth and it's not annoying after 10th time that I use it. But sometimes it's hard to think as a user when you're designing it. So how would you go about learning it?
Well, if you're asking yourself, is the animation good and will it be good after a while? Ask people. That's the best. Always ask people, and you don't need to look for a big audience. Just ask your mom, ask your siblings, just ask anybody in the street. Don't be weird. But you know, it's all about feedback, because in the end, we are all creating websites for people, and
Yeah.
you need to ask people what they think about what we're doing. So never hesitate to share a product, a website, even if it's not finished. Just show it, and I think it's very important to not tell the people what you're looking after for the feedback. Just show the website, and then ask a question like, how did you feel? Did you find information? All that. But don't say, hey, look at this animation, do you like it? Because people will focus too much. And if people don't notice your animation, most of the time it means that the animation is good. Because if it's too impactful, people will notice it. And if it's not about being pretty, then it's wrong, you know, because it should be smooth for your brain. Like it should make sense, and you shouldn't think about it. Because when things make sense for your brain, your brain won't tell you, oh, did you see what just happened there? That was weird. It's new. But if it's just smooth, it will be okay. Like, okay, it's done. It's over now. So ask people when you have an animation if it's good. But before that, I think to learn and to get started, it's to start very little. Like, I know it's getting hard nowadays because we see all kind of crazy websites, and I'm on CodePen every day, and I see crazy things, even things I cannot do, and I'm just like, what? How does it work? Just go small, like have a button and ask yourself, how can I get a nice transition? And you could get started with a fade on the background, and then you could animate the border, and then you could animate the like the background could scale up, and you know, you could make your animation a little more complex. But don't start with thinking, okay, I need the whole website to move, and don't do page transitions if you're not feeling okay with that, you know. And I know it's really hard because you when you start learning something, you're like, oh, I want to do this because I saw it online, and you know, like Apple just released a new website and it's all crazy animation on scroll, and everybody wants to do the same. But they made that website in maybe 2 or 3 months with 10 developers on it. So don't think you can do that in a day on a Sunday. Go little. Look online. CodePen is a great place for that. Use the search for I don't know, if you want to animate a menu, look for menu. I know a lot of people are taking design from Dribbble and then trying to recreate that on CodePen. And I think that's really, really nice because you don't have to think about how the animation should behave. Because you already have all the values for you. So you export the GIF and then you open it in Photoshop or whatever. And then you can really try to align your animation with the GIF. Because sometimes it's really hard to find the good duration or the good easing. And when you already have the animation for you, it's like super nice because you say, you can just check the GIF and you know that if the menu needs 300 milliseconds to fade in, then you just apply that. And when you get started with animation, this can be very tricky to find the good balance between the duration, the easing, and making it all smooth.
Yeah, because that's my impression as well. Like it feels like it's so customizable. Like so you don't know what knobs you should be setting, and like so I think that's a good way that you start kind of like in a smaller context. Like so, let's say you started with a button and you build from there, and also that you kind of see and like try to copy, like implement your version of.
Well, I mean, we all copy at some point. Every day we copy from Stack Overflow. So why wouldn't copy an animation online? You know, it's the same. As long as you don't, I mean, copy. I don't say that copy all websites and then to put it on your own website. But copying is the best way to learn. I mean, look at what your neighbor is doing and try to do the same. And once you can do the same, do better than him.
Yeah.
You know, it's just,
Okay.
It's not about getting inspiration. It's really trying to make it yourself.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people like myself, we have this obstacle of feeling like, oh, but I've never been good at drawing, like, therefore I can't do CSS animations. Like, what? So it's like you create these obstacles just because you feel like, oh, it has to be like, you know, creative, artistic, something. But you're right, like most of the time people don't want you to have like crazy, I don't know, crazy animations. They want something predictable that can that can introduce something extra. But yeah, normally, except if it's for like like you said, like an Apple or something, because sometimes you do have, your brand is, you know, creativity and like boldness and like because you see some animations that are just like, you know, like, I don't know, like whole cities and moving and like, okay, but probably I would say most of the products don't need that kind of a animation going on.
What you see on OART is not 99% of the website that goes live every day. And that's also a problem, because we all see all these websites and we're like, oh, this is so nice. And of course it's nice, but if you do that kind of website and if you enjoy doing them, it's nice, but it's not. If you're looking for a job, probably don't look too much at that, because it's not what you will do for the rest of your days.
Yes.
And that kind of website is really wrong for most of the websites. Like I said, the newspapers or I don't know, your city website, a shop website, they don't need WebGL. They don't need all that kind of crazy animations. And keep your animations for like very little websites. Don't try to put too much animations everywhere.
Yeah.
But then go crazy on CodePen or just Fiddle or Glitch, whatever website you like. But that's why the web is there. It's a playground in the end. So
yeah. Okay. Cool. So let's move into GreenSock. So do you want to share your screen or see? Because I have I've heard of it. I know there is, because I saw on Twitter, like there's kind of like a competition going on at the moment. So I feel like there's like, wow, GreenSock. I have no idea.
Well, so GreenSock used to be a library for Flash. So rest in peace, Flash. But then they had a good idea that Flash was going to die, so they developed a JavaScript version of it. And because they had all the knowledge coming from Flash version, the JavaScript version was like already super nice for developers. And we hear a lot about GreenSock nowadays, first because they released the V3 version like 2 months ago, something like that. And just a few weeks ago, we had the scroll trigger plugin, which is mind-blowing because we all love scroll animation. I mean, no, we don't all love scroll animation, but most of our developers, we enjoy from time to time good scroll animation. And because a lot of people, a lot of developers are already using with GreenSock, the fact that now we have the scroll plugin, it's like people are creating new crazy demos every day. So so like you said, for this month, so CodePen is doing challenges. So every month there is a general theme, and then every week you have a specific theme. And for the whole month of June is GreenSock who is handling the challenges. So every week they will pick the theme, and then you get 3 winners who get a GreenSock license. So that's cool.
Okay. So GreenSock is not a free thing.
Yeah, it's free. It's free. I don't know exactly. I think it's free as long as your website is free. Like if you make people pay your website, you will have to pay for GreenSock. But that's how I understand it so far. And then some plugins are not free. I know that. Yeah, but it changed. For example, the scroll plugin which they just released is free. But I think morphing, you could morph SVGs, and I think that is not for free. Let me check. Yeah, the morphing is not free, for example. but the core of the plugin is for free, which is basically, I'd say, 85% of
Okay.
everything.
Nice.
So for most of the use cases, it's free.
Okay.
But just make sure check the license page before you go live, because I don't want to say wrong about GreenSock, and then they will try to.
Louis said that it's free.
He said it was free.
And then we should copy your design.
Yeah.
Nike.
Now I will have to pay for all the website I made for the last 10 years.
Oopsie. Okay, cool. So yes, do it.
I was thinking about an exercise for you.
Me? Okay.
So, well, we will do it together, but I already prepared the exercise, so I know how it works. Does that work?
Yes. Yes. There's black screen.
Yeah. Okay. And people on Twitch, they can see my screen.
They should, because that's what I'm sharing. But right now.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So, I love particles, and I wanted to see with you how we could create particles with GreenSock. So
nice.
Do you like particles?
Yes, they look very nice. It looks very, very cool.
Okay, well, good news.
Like,
no, I don't like particles. Okay, then.
Yes, I think it's a safe topic.
Okay, bye. Because I think it's a good exercise to get started, because we will not need much HTML or CSS, and we will really start digging in GreenSock quickly.
Okay.
Because sometimes it's hard to get started with GreenSock. We don't have a website already.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I said, I'm not a designer, so if I have to find a design online and then implement the design on CodePen and then all that, it can take a while. So that's why I like to create those kind of little animations on CodePen with GreenSock. So do you want to do it live with me?
Yeah, obviously. And
cool.
Also the people in the chat are very excited about particles. So that's always good news. Okay, so that's CodePen. Okay.
Yes. Are you familiar with CodePen?
Yeah. I mean, I've never done. I know there's like a professional, like pro thing, but I've always just done the free version. But yeah, like it's great for finding inspiration and also hosting your stuff. But I've never. I think because I learned CSS and HTML like 3 years ago, and I think my first horrible portfolio tribute page something is hosted still there. So I should probably no, I will keep it for posterity, just so I can look back and say like how far you've come, Eva.
Well, yeah, but you will see after a while that if you keep working on CodePen, it will get messy, because I started using CodePen when I was a student, and that was more than 6 years ago. So I have very ugly stuffs on CodePen, and everything is still there because it's my GitHub account basically. Yeah. If someone wants to hire me, they can just follow my experience journey.
Okay.
So we won't need any HTML for this because we will create the HTML live in JavaScript. We will just no, we will add nothing in CSS right now. We will dig in JavaScript.
Okay.
So how would you define your knowledge in JavaScript, just for me to know?
Okay-ish.
Okay. Okay. I mean, it's not like you're working daily with JavaScript.
Yes.
Okay. Good. So first we will add a listener on the window. So when we will move our mouse, we will create a particle.
Okay.
So we will do a window.
Add a listener.
Yeah, I will also change this so people can read better.
Okay, nice.
Wait, did it change? Yes.
Nice.
Okay. So add event listener.
Yeah.
Mouse move.
Yeah.
And then a callback with an arrow function.
Yeah.
So now we will create. So every time you will move your mouse, we will create a span. So a tag HTML. So we will create a variable to store the HTML tag, and I will call it particle, and use document.create element span.
Okay.
And I will add the span in my body, not my body, but the body. I mean, you understand.
The body of the page,
Yeah.
yes.
So document.body.append
Nice.
child
Yeah.
particle.
Someone is asking, how well does GSAP bind with React.js? Do you know?
I don't know, because I don't use React.
You don't? Oh no, we have to conclude this. No, come on.
I'm sorry. I think I worked once on a project with React, but I'm not a big framework fan. First, because most of the product I work on, they don't really need frameworks. And I've worked with Angular a long time ago, when it was still V1. And then, fun story, Google said V1 was crap, so they stopped maintaining the V1 and they started a new V2, which was nothing like the V1. And I was like, okay, that's not for me anymore. So now I work with Vue when I need a framework, but it's like 1 or 2 times a year. Okay. But I think there are libraries or plugins, or I don't know how you call that, for React and Gridstack to handle all the transition.
Okay.
And I think there was, let me just quickly.
Oh, Sarah Drasner, yeah.
Yeah, I think she had a, because I know she used Gridstack a lot. Yeah, that was a mini game she made with React.
Wow. That is so cool. And there's flying tacos. I mean, there's flying tacos. Okay, yes.
Woohoo, I got a margarita.
Nice.
It's so cute. Yeah, I think she's doing all the illustration herself, because she used to be she used to draw like plants and animals for books.
Oh, nice. Like an illustrator.
Yeah, but like a scientist's illustrator or something. I mean, she can do everything. It's crazy. Yeah. But look on Google. I'm pretty sure there are articles about React and Gridstack. Okay. But I know it exists for Vue, so it definitely exists for React. So we'll just check if our spans are in the body. To do that, I will add some CSS.
Yeah.
So, I will make the span absolute.
Yeah.
Because we will make them move.
Yeah.
Add a width of 20 pixels, a height of 20 pixels, and then a background red.
Nice, simple, bold.
Okay.
Yes.
So if you move your mouse, you will see 1 square.
Yeah, it's a beginning.
Yeah, just a tip for people listening in, and maybe for you, when you have an absolute element, you don't need to declare display inline or inline block or block, because every absolute or fixed element is already a block element.
Okay.
So sometimes I see that on CodePen, because the span is an inline element, they add display block, but you don't need that at all, because it's in absolute position. It's a one line less.
And don't you normally need to have like a parent element that is position relative, or?
Oh, well, in our case, it will be the body.
Okay.
Because we will make everything move based on the window. So we don't need anything that is, the browser will try to get to the closest relative or positioned element. In this case, it will be the HTML element.
Okay.
But what you can notice first is there is a little spacing around the square, because the body has a default margin.
Yeah.
That's very annoying, but it's probably, there is an origin a long time ago where it was needed.
Yeah, that's why people do the resets when you start and stuff.
Yep. Cool. Yeah. So we have our span. So the mouse move is working. That's nice. Now we will use Gridstack to place the particles where the mouse is. So when I move, I will create a span, and I will create the span where the mouse is.
Yeah.
So first I need to import Gridstack. So in CodePen, you have this little gear.
Mm-hmm.
You can click and look for GSAP.
What does the app stand for? So it's Gridstack.
Animation platform.
Oh, nice. Okay. It was a test.
That's a tricky question.
It was a test, and you passed.
You tell me at the end if I succeed the test. So we will use the new syntax. And since V3, the syntax changed not a lot, but like there are two main things that change. Now, whenever we need GreenSock, we'll just call the JSAP global variable. And here you have three, I'll start with three main functions. The first one is set, and it's a function that will allow you to set any kind of style on your element. So you can set the background, you can set the size, you can set anything basically in CSS. It's similar to what you would have done in jQuery for a long time ago, like this. So it will just take your element and apply everything you ask it for.
Okay.
Then you have the to. So to, it's a function to animate your element from its initial state, and it will animate the element to what you're saying. So let's say I have my particle,
yeah,
and I want to animate to a background blue.
Yeah.
So now when I move my mouse, it creates a span, and my span is moving from red to blue. So I'm saying GreenSock that I want to animate something from its state to something.
Yeah.
What element? My particle.
Yeah.
And what do I want to animate is the background blue.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of defaults. So for example, the duration as a default, I don't know how much is it, but if I change it to 5, it will animate from red to blue for 5 seconds. So now you see that it takes 5 seconds to take to blue.
Okay, nice.
If I want to make it move, I will use the X. And for example, I'll say X 100. And now my particle, they will move to 100 pixels. So what's happening there, it's GreenSock is using the transform element, transform property. So you can see here in the DevTools all the transform.
Yeah.
And that's very cool because transforms can be very performant because they can use the graphic cards. But if you wish to animate using the left and top, you can just say left 100. And it will do the same, but in a less performant way.
Okay.
So whenever you can, use X and Y.
Nice.
And you can even do X, Y, and Z. You can do 3D animations as well in CSS.
Wow.
So yeah, so here you can animate everything, the opacity to 0, so X 100. We could animate the size.
And is there because there seems to be like a set number of animations and then it stops. Is that also one of the defaults? Or do you stop it? Because like there's some sort of, the animation works and then it kind of stops. You see, now it just stopped.
Well, it's not because it reached the end. So okay. It's like an animation in CSS. So you give it a name and then the duration. So the duration is 5 seconds. And then after 5 seconds, you can in CSS either say forwards or backwards.
Yeah.
And in GreenSock at the end of the animation, the element will keep all the styles that were animated.
Right.
So. But then you can do repeat -1, and this is like repeat infinite in CSS. So now my element, the animation will be repeated every time you see.
Yeah.
It's like a loop.
Yeah.
But if I do yo-yo true, and I like this name so bad, it will bounce like a yo-yo. It will go one way and then it's like a reverse in CSS. So they will move there and then yo-yo true, poof, they will go back.
Nice. Yo-yo true. Okay.
So that's how you can create a loop that is going in both ways.
I mean, this looks already so good. Like I feel like it deserves to be on the landing page. Like this is no, but it's cool.
There is more. There is more coming.
Okay, there's more.
And then one thing that is very, very cool is the easing. So in CSS, you have the keywords is out, is in, is in out, linear.
Yeah.
And you can find them as well in GreenSock, but then you can get more than that. And I will just quickly go to the docs to show it. So in the documentation of GreenSock, you get the is, And you have this great tool that shows you all the built-in easings, and you can even have custom easings. So that's like crazy. I don't use the custom ones often because usually the ones that already built in are enough. So power 1, 2, 3, it's basically used to do ease in, ease out, or ease in out, but with more or less strength. You know, like you see the curve here?
Yeah.
The closer it is to the diagonal, the more linear it will be.
Yeah.
So if you say none, it will mean that for every second that passed, the progress will be always linear.
Yeah.
But if I go with power 4, in this case, it will be super fast at the beginning and then very slow at the end.
Yeah.
So to use it, we will just say ease power up 3, for example, dot out, and this means ease out with a strength of 3. If you want ease in out, we can say in out with capital O.
Okay.
I think we need a capital O, I'm not sure, but. And you see here, they go super fast at the beginning. I mean, they take speed and then they slow down, and then again when they go backwards.
Nice. Nice.
And you have very gimmicky ones, but they are very often used, is the elastic bounce. For example, I can make them bounce and out, and I will remove the X because it doesn't make sense. Boing, boing, boing. So here it's a bit weird because you see, because of the yo-yo, it plays the animation backwards.
Yeah.
So you have this, it's like bouncing and then going up.
Yeah.
What we could say is yo-yo ease and then do bounce. I think it's the same. So now it bounces and then it bounces back.
Yeah.
So you can define a different easing when it goes backwards. Or we could say, for example, elastic out and or 3. So it will do the elastic. Yeah, I need to move my mouse. Joing, 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 joing.
So cool.
So that's, if you need elastic animations, you cannot do that in CSS. What you can do with Cubic Bezier, it's the back. So when the element goes a bit further than what it should be and then goes back, because this kind of curve, you can recreate the same in Cubic Bezier. I mean, in CSS Cubic Bezier, because we're limited to only one handle or 2 handles for the both axes. But for example, elastic or bounces, you need more than one, so you need JavaScript for that.
Nice.
Okay, so now, yeah, so that's the 2, but there is also the from. So I told you there is the set, there is the 2, and then the from.
Yeah.
So from is like the 2, it will animate the element, but instead of animate from the original state, it will animate from what you're saying back to
what you said.
So yeah. I will remove all this. So what I'm saying is the particle should animate from Y100 and with 100, and it will go back to its position. So you see when you create it, it's like coming back to its place.
Yeah.
And then, but I don't think we will have time for that. So you can create timeline. So with the timeline, you can add many .to or .from animations. So I could say my particle will go on X100, and then my particle will go on Y100.
Yeah, so you could just chain them, yeah.
Yeah. And I did something wrong there. Okay, it's got pen. Sometimes because it refreshed. Yeah. So you see, it's like 1 step, 2 steps.
Yeah.
Doop, doop. And again, you could, on the timeline, you could say repeat -1, yo-yo, true, and then it will tuk, 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 tuk. And that's where GreenSock is like needed when you have more than 1 keyframe, when you need all of that chained. It's super useful because you could have callback, so you could say on start, do something else, and then everywhere in your code, when this timeline would do this twin, it will call your function.
Nice.
So yeah, but timeline is like, oh, so great. And you can even have timeline within timelines, and then it's like inception of timelines.
Right, inception, yes.
But in our case, we will not need timeline. So I will get back to the set, because we will first give the particle the position of the mouse.
Yeah.
So first I need to add the parameter e, so on the mouse move.
Yeah.
And I will say that my particle x position is e dot client x.
Yeah.
And y dot e dot client y.
Right. So that it tracks where you are. Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful paint. Yes. This is MS Paint.
It's not the most effective way to paint, but yeah, it's a way to paint with tag HTML elements. What could be fun is to do like particle.type equal checkbox. And then you could draw with, sorry, that's the problem with me. Like when I start coding, I'm just like, oh yeah, let's do this and this. And now you have checkboxes.
So it's like, yeah. Do you agree? Yes. Okay. Yes, I probably won't implement that one, but yes.
No. I will switch back to the span. So we have the position. So someone just asked for the looping property. Yes, it's repeat -1.
Yeah, it's a -1. Yeah. And then a lot of exploding head is what I think is happening.
So yes, drawing. No, position is good, but just we will update one thing. Is you see it's not perfectly centered to the mouse, because in CSS it's the top left coordinates of the element.
Yeah.
So what I will also do is give a random size for the particle. So I will create a variable called size, and I will do math.random times 20. But if I do that, I will get a size that is between 0 and 20.
Yeah.
I will just add 5 to make sure that the minimum size will be 5.
Yeah.
Now I will set the size to my particles. So I will do with semicolon size and height semicolon size. And also in CSS, I will do border radius 50%.
So make it round, yeah.
Yeah. To-do.
Nice.
And there is still this issue with the alignment with the mouse.
Yeah.
And to do that, the X and Y, I will just offset it by the half of the size.
Yes. Classic.
Size divided by 2. Okay. Now we have particles, but they don't move. So we will make them move. And test how to make move with screensuck. What function to use?
Move.
Since I did move now. the 2. Yeah. It's okay. Next time you'll do better. So we will ask the particle to move to from this position, so the one we defined, basically the mouse coordinates, to a random one. I just think to make it clean. Yes, there is a way in GreenSock that is super cool. So I will do X. I will start just X hundreds, and you will see what's happening there. You see, they all move.
Yeah, like a
200
magnet.
pixels.
Yeah.
So it's okay. It's like gravity.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Sideways.
Maybe on Mars. But what we can do is say that X should be I'll just check if this worked, but I'm not sure, because there is a random method in GreenSock, so you could ask for random numbers this way. But awesome! Okay, so what I'm doing is I say that it should move from the X position to a value that is random between -100 and +100.
Yeah.
But by saying plus equal, I'm saying GreenSock to take the particle position and adding
Yeah, or
that
removing.
random values.
Yes.
Because if I just say random minus 100 plus 100, it's those are the coordinates on my screen. It's like 100 on the left or 100 on the right. But by saying plus equal, it's like taking the particle position, and within a distance of 200 pixels, it will move. And I will do the same with the Y. So it moves up.
Wow. That's a nice effect.
And it's like 4 lines in GreenSock. That's like the crazy, part of GreenSock. And we will make them fade because particles, they need to die at some point.
Yes.
This is the sad life of particles.
Such is life. And so they get removed as spans here or not?
No, because they get just the opacity, but they're not removed. And that's very important when you do that kind of animation, is to delete them.
Yeah.
And that's why we will use the onComplete. So when this animation is complete, we will just say particle that remove, and the particle will be removed from the body, from the DOM. So I can check to make sure, if you don't trust me.
No, we trust you.
But you got someone in the wall. So you see they're all created there. And then if I stop, boom, they're all removed.
Nice. That's great for performance as well. And Noreen said very poetically, it's like the animation is like oil spreading on water.
Or when the pan is too hot, and you there's some water that's...
Yes, classic.
Okay, also, are you a Windows or Mac OS user?
Mac OS.
Because Windows user, we often have this issue with scroll bar. You see them appearing on the left, and some a lot of time when people do animations on CodePen, they forget to add an overflow hidden. So please, if you're listening, add an overflow hidden if it's a full screen animation, because it's so annoying to see the scroll bar moving.
So I also have the same issue because I use the trackpad. So if you, on a Mac OS, if you add a mouse or a trackpad, by default, you get the scroll bars always, not only when you're scrolling. So you just get the scroll bars. So Mac users that have an external mouse or trackpad also have this scrolly issue thingy.
But also, I know you can, in the settings, you can ask to always have the scroll bar, and I think you should do that. I know it's nice to have the scroll bar to fade out, but it's important to also sometimes, for a reason like the horizontal scroll bar on some websites, you get a horizontal scroll bar because people are using 100 VW, the viewport units. But the problem with viewport units are they don't take the scroll bars into account.
Yes.
So if you ask an element to be 100 viewport width, it will be 100 like all the way on top of the scroll bar.
Yeah.
So this will create a horizontal scroll bar on the page. So please make sure to check your website with scroll bars on if you don't want those ugly scroll bars to appear.
Yes. Cool.
Duration. So now they all goes at the same speed, which is quite fast. I will ask for a random duration between, let's say, half a second to 2 seconds. Up. And then the ease, I will do a port2.out. Right. It's probably the ease I'm using the most on my animation.
Okay. Oh, nice.
So you see they slow down. They're super fast at the beginning, and then it's very peaceful. Yes. It could be more peaceful if I make them very slower.
Very peaceful.
Yes.
I am meditating as we speak.
That's cool. They just need some music there, like when the particle pops, like pew 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 pew.
A flute.
Let's add some color because color is nice.
Yes.
And we will make rainbow colors because I love to make rainbows, and also because it's Pride Month.
Yes.
So let's add a variable that I will call rainbow based to 0.
So we have a question. How would it look if we use elastic easing?
Well, less zen, that's for sure.
Oh, okay.
But you see what's happening there is everything is as the elastic, so even the opacity And the elastic, it means that the element is going further than the animation and coming back. So the particle is going to 0 opacity, and then it goes back to 0.1, and then back to 0, and then 0.5. So that's this weird thing happening with the elastic.
Yeah.
But if I disable the opacity,
right, because of course, because the animation works on all the properties.
Yeah, and if we would want to avoid this, we could create two animations at the same time. Or you could also do that. For example, the elastic on the X and then the bounce on the Y.
Okay.
And this will the bounce for the elastic for the axis, and then the bounces. But this is getting weird.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, elastic is probably not the best when you have particles. So yeah, the color. So I will define the background color for my particles. And to do that, I will use the HSL in CSS.
Okay.
So the hue, saturation, and lightness. And I will assign the hue to be the rainbow variable, and then 70%, 50%. And then rainbow, I will increment the rainbow up. And now you have a rainbow.
Wait, so how did you do the rainbow thing?
Okay, so rainbow, I will use it for the hue. The hue.
Yeah, so you're just yeah.
I'm like spinning around the
color wheel, yeah.
Yes. And because in CSS you don't need to limit the value to 360,
it just goes round, yeah.
Yeah, it just keeps spinning and spinning, and that's why you don't need to make like a modulo 360 or something else.
Yeah. That is cool. Right. So if you wanted to change the hue, you could. You could just do, because now it's increased by 1.
Yeah.
Okay.
We could make it like very fast by plus equal 3.
Nice.
And you see now the spinning around the color wheel is like much faster.
Yeah.
But also, I will just comment this. You could have a HSL that is a random number, and let's say between 0 and 90. And then I will only get colors that is on the color wheel between red and green, which is not the nicest. So I could maybe do like plus 180. This is better already.
Oh, this is nice.
So I will take a color wheel to explain this maybe for people who are not used to that. So the color wheel is what we use for the HSL, and then basically the top is 0 degrees. And what I'm saying with the previous code is I get an angle that is random of 90 degrees. So the mat.random times 90 is like the variation of colors, and then the plus 180 is to move, like to have a minimum color of like green. So I take, it's it's probably not exactly the same color wheel as in CSS.
So we get this cool kind of colors. Yeah.
Yeah, you can create a palette with this.
Nice.
And also you could have a random lightness. So if I do mat.random time 100, I will get very dark one. But it's much nicer if you play with only one of the values. So let's say that I want the same color, the same saturation, but not the same brightness or lightness.
Yeah.
And you see, this is much more appealing.
Yeah, that's totally like what I would do. Like I would just start like, but also if I can change this one, I should change this. So then I would get is like, whoa, what are we going for here? It's like everything. This is
Let's
how I
make it
feel.
everything random.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's the thing, because when you start playing with colors, and as a student, I was really, really bad at picking colors, and that was a problem with my projects. But then I had good friends who told me what colors are good and not, and I would always do like random colors between 0 and 360. But if you just pick random colors on the color wheel, it's like it's a bit too much, you know. It's carnival.
Yes, it's very much carnival.
It's confettis.
Yeah.
That's why it's nice to make like the color wheel effects or.
Yeah, because
also,
I noticed like that there's like people now saying don't use hex, don't use RGB, use HSL for especially when you're building the palette, so that you kind of just tweak, like you said, like you tweak one of the values and you get kind of neighboring colors. Whereas with RGB and obviously with hex, it's much more kind of, it feels more random. But here it's like, yeah, they're kind of related. It looks good.
But there is this it's cooler. I don't know. But they got renamed probably because people couldn't say the name.
By Adobe, yeah.
Is the website broken? Okay. And here you can see all those rules. There was this. Where is it? Color game? No. Yes. You see there they help you creating a nice palette by either using 3 colors or squares like 4s. This is a very useful tool when you're bad at picking colors. And also I use colorhunt.co and I just copy a palette from there.
Okay.
Because I love them.
So it's not just me. Awesome. Yeah, because I thought you like
no.
introspect and like I feel like
I don't know how people can actually create those, because every time, and even when I try to tweak those palettes, like, oh, let's add another color, it's like ugly. I don't know, like sometimes I need 5 colors and on color palette it's 4 and I'm like, okay, let's add a 5th. It's easy, right? And then it's just bad. So I Google on like palette 5 colors and then I find a 5th one.
Nice. No, it's definitely, because like the thing with front-end development and design especially is that like you can't practice in quiet and private, like, because everything is there. So whatever you do, people can see. So if it's ugly, it's very obviously ugly. Whereas if you write, ugly backend codes, chances are that no one is going to see it.
Yeah, it's a problem with the clients. Like they want it to be nice, and sometimes it's hard. And but we will get angry backend developers now.
Yes. Oopsie, controversial, but yes, that's what I strive for in these streams, like to get a bit of passion and argumentation going on. But yeah, now let's continue. We're almost there, I think, because it looks quite pretty.
I think it's there was this. So in CSS, when particles, you can use the mixed blend mode. Yeah,
there is a dark screen on the top left corner. What is like a dark square? Do you see it?
At the top left.
Yeah, like on your screen, there's like a little box.
Yeah, it's actually the zoom.
Okay.
I'll have it there.
Awesome. That's your zoom? Why is it? Okay.
I don't use zoom at all. Like it's probably the 4th time I'm using it, so I'm really not used to that. Is it? Yeah. Okay, the square is gone.
Yeah. This is perfect. Yeah.
So yeah, I said I added in the CSS the mixed blend mode. And it's a way to, when 2 particles are overlapping, there is this effect creating.
So you don't just jump from one to the other, it kind of, it blends.
Yeah, it blends.
So it's kind of like aquarelles, like watercolors.
Yeah.
Black.
Because it's more visible there.
Yeah.
It's more like disco, like party rainbow.
No, but this is pretty. Like this is I could pitch this like this.
Well, it's on Copen, so it's free for everybody to use now.
Awesome.
I will make this a little bit more. And oh yeah, also I tried something. I don't know how the performance will be on Chrome, but if I had a blur on the particles, I think it was interesting.
Oh.
Now it's like fire.
No, now it's like I'm not wearing glasses.
Yeah. Or it's yeah. It's party rainbow, but after 2 a.m.
Yes. Yeah, because filters are like famously not very performant, right?
Yes, but because you are using X and Y, so the transform 3D. So what the browser is doing is when you start to animate the element, it will create a screenshot of just that element. So once the filter is done, it doesn't have to calculate the filter anymore. So it's just like taking a screenshot and then moving the screenshot. And for a computer, moving an image is easy because it's just pixels. So they just need to move the pixels.
Right.
But if you animate the blur, then that's a problem because on every frame, the browser will need to refresh that screenshot and create a new one. So it's fine if you use filters as long as you don't animate them or as long as you don't animate big part of the website with filters.
Okay.
But there, I think that some browsers may actually animate the filters now with the graphic cards instead of the CPU, which is new.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's too tricky for me.
Okay.
But what we could be nice is to make the filter, the blur, so the further from the camera an element is, the more blurry it is. And we could say that the filter, I wonder if this will actually work because it's not a common property for GreenSock. So the size is between 5 and 25, so I can do size divided by 25 to get a normal value, and then do that one up. May try to explain this later, but just need to check. Yes, I need to. Yeah, this is less performant because it needs to create a new blur on every time I move my mouse. But once I stop moving my mouse, the performance is quite good. So what I'm doing here is I take the size value divided by the maximum. So this gets me a number between 0 and 1.
Yeah.
1 being the biggest circle and 0 the smallest.
Yeah.
And then, well, it's actually not true because there is a +5. So I should do this -5 divided by 20. But this gets me maybe too complex. And by doing 1 minus this, it's like inverting the value.
Yeah.
Because I want the smaller an element is, the more blurry it is.
Yeah.
And now I get this like depth of field effect.
Yeah. It's really neat. Like, yeah, this is how one could spend evenings. Just like moving the mouse.
It's like the 90s screensavers on Windows.
Yeah. Yeah, and like the trippy one, like when you're just watching them. Yeah. No, who needs aquariums? This is it. Wow. It's so cool. And it's like really not a lot of code.
No, and that's what I love with GreenSock because everything is so contained and you don't need like it repeats the same transition, the same animation to all the particles, but because we use random, it's all different. If you remove all the randomness, it will be very static.
Yeah.
You know, if I say they all move to 100, it's like, okay, they all go down. It's like there is some wind, but it's less fun. It's less random.
Yeah. Okay, so make it random. Yeah, and I guess that's how, because animations in some way mimic life. I mean, like, you know, like how do you, for example, when the wind blows and the stuff moves in the air, like that's very random, right? Like if you have petals or flowers in the wind, oh, how poetic.
Yeah.
They move randomly. They don't all go like, we're all going that way. Yeah, so that's totally, that makes it look more natural when it's like that.
Well, if I do like this, so they will all move this way. That's what you're just saying, the wind.
Yeah.
So they all go in one direction.
Yeah. Very cool.
So when GSAP used in this website, the GSAP elements sent to the browser, it will change in the CSS. No, it's changed in the browser, not in the CSS. It doesn't impact your CSS. But what it does is Grinsock is playing with inline CSS. So you see here, it's all the inline CSS that is animated in real time.
Okay.
I don't know if that answered the question for Twitch.
Yeah. Okay.
Wow. That's a bit much for my browser too.
But that is cool. So why did you put the debug there?
It's a way to open your CodePen in like
full screen.
Yeah, but also because here it's an iframe, in CodePen.
Yeah.
And here it's not an iframe. Is if you check the code source, the source code, it's really just what I wrote. So I get Grinsock and I get all this. There is no tracking. There is nothing from CodePen. So it's the code, exactly your code. Debug. So it's a very good way to debug what you're doing.
Nice. I didn't know that.
But you can share it to everybody, but just know that it will be hard for people to find and like or comments or even for you to get trackings, like how many people watched your pen if you share the debug.
Okay. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a neat trick indeed. Can you show it again? Which the debug, Narine, or which thing?
So the debug in the URL, you just need to change whatever edit, press the type here to debug, and it will go to the debug mode.
Okay. So anything after your username, kind of like the next slash.
Yeah. Because here I'm on presentation mode, but if I would go to edit up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So debug. Oh no, sorry, it's not edit, it's pen. I always get confused because it's edit mode, but it's not edit, it's pen.
Okay, pen, press, and debug. Wow. So what? So you don't work for code. You don't work with CodePen, as in like, what's your relationship with CodePen?
Oh yes, I use CodePen at work, mainly for prototypes. Mm-hmm. So when I need to quickly try an ID from the designer, I will open CodePen and then share it with the designer or ask the designer to sit next to me, and then we would tweak the animation together. Because it's super easy. You just go to codepen.io/pen and then boom, you can start writing. You don't need a server. You don't need to set up a staging and environment, whatever. I use CodePen for work, and it's very convenient because there is this team feature. So basically all the developers for my team, we are connected, so we share the same accounts. So we have our private accounts, but also I can switch to our base design accounts. And then we can create collection per client, so we can group all the prototypes for every client to find them. And also we share all the assets, so all the images that are shared through all the developers.
Yeah. So you don't use like GitHub then that much or something? Like you mostly hang out in CodePen?
Well, I use GitHub for the actual projects. Yeah. So we use GitHub to host all the projects.
Okay, so this is more like, for prototyping.
Yeah, it's for prototypes. We don't know. We don't work the end products on CodePen, but sometimes I would work like for 1 week on CodePen just to make prototypes because we're still in the very beginning stage of the project. I will create 10 prototypes and then open all of them on my computer and then show them to the client and ask the client what he likes. But we don't actually develop the end product on the end website on CodePen.
I love how you keep moving the mouse and then
it's even for me, even after, I don't know, this is probably the 100th times I'm doing particles with JSAP, but I never get bored of it.
Oh, that's so pretty though. Oh. Yeah, and we've been at it for 1 hour and 15 minutes, Luis. But this was so cool. And
I'm glad you liked it, because I was a bit scared, like, oh, what should I do? It's always hard to find a nice exercise to do.
But because like the point of these streams is like also that I try not to limit them to anything, because otherwise I would just be like, I don't know anything about GreenSock. Well, now I do, but it's so cool because then you get to learn stuff that you wouldn't have learned otherwise, right? Like, because I am on my day-to-day basis doing JavaScript and React and that, so I don't get a chance to kind of peek. I try to be disciplined and not, like, and I will also learn like this. But this is like a nice cheat of like, oh, okay, this is how you do stuff. This is nice to know. And now when I have to do an animation, and like what you said is like, okay, when you have more than one keyframe, start. And like GreenSock is super lightweight, and so now it's like not an obstacle anymore. So now I can think like, okay, so that's an option that I can try.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, I can just quickly check for the size, because I always, yeah, you see, it's 23 GZIP.
Yeah. GZIP, yeah.
So it's not much. I mean, if you compare to some other libraries, like sometimes just to do slider, you need a 300 kilobytes library.
Slider.
So
yeah, that's why we don't do them. They're a bad idea.
Yeah, but who doesn't do sliders when they don't want to?
Yeah.
We all do at some point. Yeah, there was this nice website. Do you need a slider?
It's like, no, I know this one is gonna, yes.
Should I use a carousel? No, seriously, you shouldn't. Why not?
No one uses them. They're really not performant. They take a long time to code. They're bug prone. They're really shitty. Don't use them.
Yeah. I seriously, I don't think we will ever get rid of carousel, because I don't know. I don't know who is asking for them. If it's the clients or the designers, and I think I'm too afraid to ask the questions. Anyway,
I don't know.
That's another topic for maybe another night. How not to do sliders.
Yes, I would be happy to discuss that. Even though, like, we need to bring the person from the other side of the aisle, so someone that is super pro carousels, because otherwise it would just be, no, we shouldn't use them. End of discussion.
Okay, well, bye.
Question: GSAP versus AnimeJS.
I never used AnimeJS, so like I said, I don't know much. I will never say don't use a library unless it's a very bad library. It's like jQuery. If you feel confident using jQuery, just use it. But if you feel like you should stop using it, then start to learn how to not use it. But I would never say use this or that. Just try what's the best for you. And I don't think AnimeJS is a bad library. Just give it a try. And if it works for you, then keep using it. Unless, I don't know, for some reason it's very bad and it's like doing some Bitcoin
mining, yes.
Yeah. But otherwise, yeah, I mean, use whatever library you like.
Unless if you're the one doing the mining, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nareen says the carousels are just for theme parks.
Yes. Yeah, it should be. We should just have fun with carousels, and that's not what's happening on the web.
Yeah, in a controlled and limited scope, but not in live production. Yes, good. Awesome. I think we should stop at some point.
Yeah, well.
No, you have inadvertently agreed to a 24-hour marathon of just
24 hours of particles and rainbows.
Yeah, like you're just going to be moving the particles and we're just going to be talking carousels.
Well, I actually read an article to explain how to simulate the mouse move, because sometimes it can get tiring. Okay, so can I promote my article?
Yes, promote your article to the audience of 7. But yeah, they're the decision makers, so this is gonna.
So if at some point you need a demo to simulate mouse move, so well, you know, particles again, and there is this article to show how to simulate a mouse movement,
Yeah.
like a random mouse movement. And then what's fun is at the end you can simulate many mouses.
So that's
Mice.
on CSS Tricks. Mice, yeah,
Yep.
I guess.
So you can look for Mamboleo on CSS Tricks.
So what's
Yeah.
Mamboleo? Is that your favorite dance move or?
No, not at all. It used to be Mambo, but because Mambo was too common, every time I was trying to register on a forum, it was
Yeah.
already taken.
Yeah.
So I had to find something more, and I used to be on a website. Well, I just added Olio at the end of Mambo because it sounded nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I don't think I even knew the song before, like a few years ago.
Mamboleo.
Yeah, I know.
Is it Mamboleo or Bamboleo? No, I'm not sure. Is it Mamboleo? I guess.
I don't know. Mamboleo song. Bamboleo.
Is
It's
he?
Bamboleo. It's a Gypsy Kings. Yeah, I never listened to that song.
Okay.
Yeah, in French we also have this song that is Mon beau sapin, roi des forêts, and it's like Mambo sapin.
Près de forêt. Okay.
Yeah.
So you are in the French. You do you speak Dutch as well?
No, well, a little bit, but it's very bad Dutch because I learned Dutch when I was a secondary school, but the level was way too low. So sadly not. And even though I was born in Brussels and I lived for 25 years in Brussels, it's really sad that my English is better than my Dutch. But one day when I will be old, I will have time to learn Dutch.
Yes. We say that. Yes, I say that as well. I will when I am old. I will learn Dutch or French. No, I know a bit of French. Just no. I know more than that. It's just I don't know. It's very hard to practice French in Brussels because people tend to speak very good English.
Yeah,
it's very annoying.
Yeah, it's so funny because I mean, half our team is Dutch speaking, half is French speaking, but we speak English,
Yeah.
Well, it's not true because most of our Dutch speaking colleagues, they actually speak good French. I mean, all of them speak good French, but some don't really like to speak French.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, their English is French is bad. But
yeah.
if you're listening to me, your French is not bad. But it's so weird that in Belgium, like we would all switch to English, even though it's not a national language.
Yeah, just also because there's so many foreigners, so it's a big.
Yeah, but also because like especially for the web or the digital, everything is in English, online. So we all learn English at school, and we all learn English through articles and tutorials. So for me, it's easier to speak English. Even sometimes in French, I use English for technical words. Because it's like padding. I don't know if padding has a translation in French.
Yeah, and padding.
Yeah.
Okay. Oui. Yes. Yes. Okay. So no, Luis, come on. We have stuff to do. You have stuff to do. I have to set up my Bitcoin mining operation.
your animation library to mine some Bitcoins.
But yeah, this was really, really cool.
Yeah, it was super fun.
Yeah. So and I bet I'm gonna meet you in real life at some point.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, I know you're doing meetups as well, and so when everything will be quiet back in Brussels, I can wait for to meet each other.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, because I was gonna actually speak at the Creative Frontend.
Yeah, I know.
But then you moved the date or something, and then I had something else. But yeah, it will happen. It will happen
next time. Definitely.
Okay, cool. So it was awesome. People say.
Thanks a lot. Follow me on Twitter.
Follow
me on Twitter.
Yes, and awesome. Yeah, and I think we should have a repeat at some point, Luis.
A what?
A repeat, as in you will be a recurring guest. I've decided. I made an executive decision.
Okay.
But no pressure.
I will think about it.
Yes, I'll talk to your agent. And yeah, awesome. So have a good night, and I'll speak to you soon.
Yeah, okay, well, great. And if people have more questions, then hesitate to pin me on Twitter, GitHub, CodePen, wherever. want. And stay safe, everybody. Wear a mask when you go out.
Awesome. Bye.
Bye bye.